Welcome to ElliptiGO's online support videos. In this video, we will unbox and assemble the MSUB. Before unboxing, you will want a pair of scissors or some cable cutters for all of the zip ties. Start by opening the top flap of your box. Be careful, there may be staples, so you may want to remove those, but definitely be careful not to cut yourself. Remove the top foam protector. Your bike should look like this inside of the box. Using your scissors, remove the rear wheel foam packing material. And remove the front wheel. There are 3 zip ties that hold the front wheel on. Cut those and remove the wheel. Place to the side for now. Now you are ready to lift your MSUB out of the box. Do so, grab the frame and the rear wheel and lift straight out of the box. Move the box to the side and place your MSUB straight down on the ground. She should balance on her rear wheel and her fork. I found it easier to start with the kickstand, so I cut the zip ties around where the kickstand is held in place and then push the kickstand down with my hand just to help give the bike a little bit more balance. Also, don't forget to remove the derailleur packing material. Now for the fun part, removing all the packing material. Just remember not to cut your frame with your scissors. We'll pause here. So here's how you insert the steering column. Open the quick release lever and pull out the safety index pin and slide the steering extender down into the frame, securing the pin with one of the corresponding holes and clamp the lever. To learn more about how to adjust your steering column height, please see our adjusting steering column video. And this is what your unboxed, half-assembled MSUB should look like. Now we will install the pedals. You should have received 2 pedals, a left and right pedal, as shown on the crank axles, the 6mm Allen wrench, a 4mm Allen wrench, 2 pedal washers, and 2 retention screws. Again, the R and L are shown on the pedal crank axle. We will start by installing the left pedal. Left is in you are riding the bike on your left hand side. Again, identify by the L on the crank axle. You'll need your 6mm Allen wrench and pedal washer. Slide your pedal washer over the crank axle of your left pedal. And then using your 6mm Allen wrench, you will thread the left pedal into the left crank arm using the 6mm on the inside of the crank arm. And you are going to rotate your 6mm Allen wrench forward. If you think about pedaling your bike, that actually tightens the pedal axles. So you're going to rotate your 6mm Allen wrench forward, threading the left pedal into the left crank arm. You will tighten these to 34 Newton meters, but if you use the small end of the Allen wrench, and clamp as hard as you can to make sure that the pedal is secure in the crank arm. Next, we'll install the safety retention screw. You'll pick the L for left. The retention screw has an arrow on how to loosen it, so you're going to tighten this in the opposite direction of the arrow, which is the same direction as your pedal axle. So with your 4mm Allen wrench, you will install the left retention screw on the inside of the crank arm. You can start by using your hands and then use the 4mm to tighten. This retention screw you do not over tighten. You'll continue to turn until the screw is inside or recessed of the counter bore, and then you stop. Now we will install the right pedal. Using your right pedal with the R on the crank axle, slide a pedal washer over the axle. Use your 6mm Allen wrench. Again, using the wrench from the inside of the crank arm, and again you will tighten this by rotating the wrench forward towards the front wheel. Continue to thread the pedal into the crank arm. And again, you want to torque to 34 Newton meters. If you use the short end of the Allen wrench to crank down on and tighten as hard as you can, you may need to use the left pedal to give yourself a counterbalance to apply pressure onto the pedal to securely tighten. Now we will install the right retention screw. Again, this will tighten forward. Use your 4mm Allen wrench. Tighten down, do not over tighten until the retention screw is in the recess of the counter bore on the crank arm, and then stop. Your pedal should spin freely, but your pedal should be firmly attached to your crank arms. Now carefully remove the zip ties and the quick release skewer from the front wheel. Try to use the rim and not the tire so you don't cut the tire with your scissors. And you'll also remove the two packing materials on the front hub there. I had to use the scissors to pry that off, but you can also slide the skewer through to pop it out. That piece is not part, it's just packing material, so it's not part of the front wheel assembly. Then you're going to slide your quick release through the axle. The quick release has a lever and a tension knob. The tension knob you will unthread and remove, as well as one of the springs. There's two springs. So you remove the tension knob and the spring, and you will slide the quick release through the axle. The lever will be on the side of the rotor. Important, try not to touch the rotor with your fingers. That has oil on that, so you will want to not touch the rotor with your fingers. If you do, use some rubbing alcohol to clean off the rotor. Now that the axle, you'll place the spring with the larger end going on first. The smaller end faces the tension knob, and thread the tension knob. Note that I'm holding the rotor with my hand. I will clean this off with rubbing alcohol after I install the wheel. To install the front wheel, first lift the front end of the bike up and remove the packing material of the fork protector. It's plastic. Just knock it out. Then slide the front wheel into the fork dropouts, making sure that the rotor is seated between the brake pads. And you're going to want to push the wheel back into the dropouts as far as you can go using the weight of the bike, because you want to make sure that the pads are centered over the rotor so that they do not rub. With the front wheel in the fork and is seated as far as you can get it, you're going to tighten the quick release, you'll turn the tension knob to add tension, and then you'll fold the lever of the quick release up towards the fork leg. You want to supply enough clamping force so that the wheel is secure, but not over clamp or too loose. Also, do not use the disc rotor to close the quick release. You use the fork leg, not the rotor, to close the quick release. If you touch the rotor, use some rubbing alcohol to clean it off before you go riding. You will also need to inflate your tires. It's a Schrader valve pump head, so you'll use your bicycle floor pump and inflate to 35 to 45 psi.